We've been friends for, I've checked it, over 40 years. And our friendship goes a long way and can take us a long way. I'm delighted to see him. I think we live at a time of great promise, but also grave danger.
Welcome to the Light Brigade, and thank you for joining me on Enlightened Paths, Endtime Scripture Study with Benevolent. Now, I want to go ahead and call this the times of the Gentiles. And as I promised, we will get into who those people exactly are. I have put together an article by a scholar that has passed. His name is Tex Mars. And he has put together a great piece of revealing who those imposters truly are over there in Israel. And I want to introduce you a little bit to this. Let's take a look. This is an old article. I believe this article stems back maybe 10 years ago. So this goes to show you that he knew the truth a long time ago. But as you can see, no one knows who this man is. They hid him. They did not want us, especially the true Hebrews, to know this. But of course, Yah opens the eyes of those who seek knowledge and truth. So Yah showed me this page. I knew this page a few years back. I actually taught on this. It's called Let No Man Be Deceived on the Light Brigade. It's an older video, but take a look at that. Be not deceived. I touch a little bit about the Ukraine and the Russian crisis. People return to Ukraine. You serpents, you generation, race, or nation of vipers, how can you escape the damnation of hell? Now he quoted that from Matthew 23, verse 33, when Yah called them generation of vipers. Yah was speaking directly to those Khazarians. He was speaking directly to those false Jews that were in his land. Let's get into this. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I just want us to get an idea of who those people are in that land and why this judgment is coming upon them. Surely Yah will not allow his people to suffer in such a way. Let's just read off of this here. We could start with this. Tex Mars' revealing book, which reveals that the people known today as Jews came from Khazaria. They are not descendants of ancient Israel. This book's conclusions are the impetus for the Jewish takeover of Ukraine. Did you see that? The Jewish takeover of Ukraine. So those same people that we are funding, sending millions and billions of dollars to, as well as in Israel, are the Khazarians who are gathering up their regime and making way for the Antichrist. That's exactly where this money is going. The money that us foolish, blind people who call ourselves people of Yah or Christians, we are sending our money aimlessly. From the early centuries of the first millennia, the Khazars of Eastern Europe were known as the diabolical serpent people. And now, the nation of Israel has admitted that its people are indeed the Khazars. You can't make this stuff up, people. The admission by the Israelis that the Jews are not related to ancient Israel, but to Khazaria, was reported in the Times of Israel leaked report. Of course it was leaked because you know it's not going to be in the public. Israel acknowledges Jews, in fact Khazars' secret plan for reverse migration to Ukraine. This article was dated back to 2014. 2014. So we see that this plan has been in the move for quite a while. Let's move down a little bit. The Jews have taken charge of that ravaged country's government and finances and intend eventually to make the Ukraine a second homeland for the Jews. Now, do we see why that Ukraine and Russia war is taking place? This war has been going on 2 years now. Russia is a major power. If Russia wanted to take this war, they would have took it in the first month. But they continuously deplete and funnel out funds from us foolish Americans. Everywhere you go, you see support Ukraine. We stand for Ukraine. We love Ukraine. So you might as well put Israel and Ukraine in the same bag because they're the same people. We see the same for Israel. We stand by Israel. We love Israel. We will support Israel. Every U.S. official is on board to go to bat for Israel and to go to bat for Ukraine. Why? Why is that? Why is that when people are perishing and dying here in America? Why are they willing to go the full 9 for Ukraine and Israel? Let's take a look. The Khazars identified in Revelations 2 and 3, we know that well. Revelations 2:9 and 3:9, where he says that they say that they are Jews but are not, but they are the synagogue of Satan. This is the scriptures that he's referring to. And they are also further identified in Ezekiel 38 and 39, prophetically as the people of Gog, from the land of Magog. So this is where we see that Ezekiel 38, where the people of Gog are in the land of Israel. They're in the land of Israel. They are not attacking Israel currently, but they're in the land of Israel. The people who are attacking Israel is the Amalekites, the Arabs. Israel is being attacked by the Philistines. Hezbollah, which is Iran, will step in as well. So prophecy clearly tells us that this warlike serpentine people shall invade and conquer Israel first, then go on to plunge the entire planet into chaos and warfare. And this could be seen in Revelations 20. Let's pause from this and let's go into Revelations 20. These are the people he's referring to. Now we know that those people over there are not them, because we see here that this prophecy we have not even begun to even step near this prophecy. And when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is at the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, encompassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city, and fire came down from Yah out of heaven and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever. So we see this, right? You see this. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, encompassed the camp. Let's highlight this. The camp of the saints. So if we were to be raptured, right? And if those people over there are Yah's people, then when Gog and Magog came up and encompassed the camp of the saints, how did that take place yet? First of all, the saints are not together, right? Number one. And we're not in our homeland. So how is that those people? If Yah are saying that we are the saints and that we are going to be invaded by Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog currently inhabit Israel. But this is speaking of a time where Gog and Magog in their union, it will come against us and our home, Israel. You see the difference? You see the major difference? It's just a twist of doctrine, and it's a twist of the scriptures, and it's tainting of the scriptures. Because if you're not paying attention and you're not rightly dividing the word of truth, you will be deceived bad. Let's go back to that article. From Khazaria to Israel. You see that? From Khazaria to Israel and back to Khazaria, which is Ukraine. Ukraine is Khazaria. From Khazaria to Israel and back to Khazaria, Ukraine is Israel's secret plan. Did we see that, people? Ukraine is Israel's secret plan. How so? By the illusion that Ukraine is being bullied by big bad Russia. It draws the world in, and it draws the world to show support and compassion for the people of Ukraine. When Israel was bombed by Hamas, It led people to say, oh, poor Israel. Hamas is terrorizing those poor people. Let's go in and let's help them. Let's continue. They control both the Republican and the Democrat parties, and the White House does their bidding. Did you see that? The White House does the bidding of Israel. Israel is in the bed with the world. That bidding includes the conquest of Ukraine. The conquest of Ukraine by the hands of Russia, which they all are in cahoots. This is all a major illusion. It's just an illusion. When in fact that Russia and Ukraine are one of the same. And all they're doing is building up their regime and building up their Khazarian nation once again, people. And they're building up their regime in order to take over the world so the Zionists can take over the world. This is all the plan. The agenda of Satan is to have the Zionists rule, to roll out the red carpet for the Antichrist. In a nutshell, let's read a little bit more. But how did the Jews come to acknowledge their Khazarian bloodline link? Professor Jim Walls notes in the Times of Israel. Let's take a look at this. This is some serious news, people, that no one is speaking about and no one will speak about. But this is very important to know, so that way we will not be deceived and we will not fall for the trickeries, and we will not fall for the vices of Satan. It is well known that sometime in the 8th and 9th centuries, the Khazars, a warlike Turkish people, converted to Judaism and ruled over a vast domain in what became southern Russia and Ukraine. What happened to them after the Russians destroyed that empire around the 11th century has become a mystery. Many have speculated that the Khazars became the ancestors of the Ashkenazi Jews. This is a declaration of what one of those Jews said. They, on here, they're coming out. They're telling the truth. But of course, this will never reach the masses or the light. During the UN debate over Palestine's partition, Chaim Weizmann responded, "It is very strange. All my life, I have been a Jew, felt like a Jew, and now I learned that I am a Khazar." Wow. Let's get some more information, people. The Ukraine solution, 2 Jewish homelands. At first, this result was deemed unhappy, even ominous. But says Walled, Prime Minister Netanyahu and his advisors surprised us by bringing in their Ukraine solution. Let's see what that solution is. Some Jewish settlers would leave Israel and return to Ukraine. This resettling into Ukraine will take time for reasons of logistics and economics. The end result, however, would be 2 Jewish homelands, Israel and Ukraine. Now, I'm hoping that supporters of Ukraine and supporters of Israel are watching this program right now, that Yah is giving you eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to understand. Let's continue further. We're not talking about all the Ashkenazi Jews going back to Ukraine, explained a well-placed source in intelligence circles. Obviously, this is not practical. Wall calls this solution Khazaria 2.0. All Jews will be welcomed back to Ukraine without condition as citizens. What's more, the Israeli government promises an infusion of massive Israeli military assistance to Ukraine, including troops, equipment, and construction of new bases. If the initial transfer works, other West Bank settlers would encourage to relocate to Ukraine as well. So do we see why Russia and Ukraine are in this? Think of all the money that is being funneled to Ukraine. Don't you think by the time they're done, they'll be able to build whatever it is that they want to build? Don't you think that they'll be able to build their kingdom in which Russia, Ukraine, and Israel can rise? But you see, in mainstream, this is looked at as conspiracy theory. But we see here that this is documented information. Israel and US stage a bloody coup in Ukraine. Thus, we understand the current Ukraine political mess. The Jews launched the quest for their new Ukrainian homeland. They have support from the US, as witnessed the Jewish diplomat Victoria Neeland of the State Department. The US is warning Vladimir Putin to keep a distance from Ukraine and to relinquish Russia's historic ties to that nation, now ruled by Israel. Did you see that? The US is warning Vladimir Putin to keep a distance from Ukraine and to relinquish Russia's historic ties to that nation, now ruled by Israel. What does Israel have to do with Ukraine? Israel runs Ukraine. No one ever knew that. Now you do. The constitutionally elected Ukrainian president, Yanukovych, was overthrown last year by the US and Israel, with the CIA and the Mossad both deeply involved. A Jewish billionaire, Petro Poroshenko, was quickly installed as president. Jewish money and military might is constantly being flown in Ukraine. Yes, it is. Ukrainian Christians, not Jews, are being slaughtered. Genocide is underway, and we see this. Now, if we go down here, we see some of the images. The Jewish monsters who run Ukraine are carrying out genocide and killings throughout the country. They are turning Ukraine into a Jewish homeland for the Khazars. This is what the Jews, Lenin and Trotsky, did to Russia in 1917. This is the greatest tragedy since the satanic Khazars invaded peaceful unarmed Palestine in 1948. Killing and battering the Palestinians and driving hundreds and thousands into desert refugee camps. All right, now, do we see this? So you know how the lie is that in 1948 is when Israel became a nation, and they want to say that the prophecy of the dry bones was fulfilled in 1948. They want to say that Israel became a nation in 1948. But what has happened truly in 1948 was that the Khazars went over into Palestine, murdered those people, drove them out, and reclaimed it as their land of Israel. That's what they did. He states, Americans are oblivious to the horror their administration is causing the Ukraine people. But Yah knows, he sees, he feels. We have sowed the wind. Now we shall reap the whirlwind. Amen. And I believe this is what we're seeing, ladies and gentlemen. I believe this is what we're seeing. Let me just bring this home with this little fact right here. In 1948, the Khazarians went on to Palestine, where they conquered the peaceful Palestinians and set up a pretentious new kingdom of Israel. You see that? New kingdom of Israel. Not the ancient in which we were exiled from. No, they set up their new kingdom of Israel, full of Zionists, where they study the Talmud and they practice Judaism, which is totally against Yah's word. The Khazarians, claiming to be Jews, are from Magog, led by Satan's Gog. In the last days, they are destined to plunge the entire world into bloodshed, chaos, and war. Ezekiel 38:39 is fulfilled in front of our eyes. Yah encourages us, as he always does. And if we are his true people, we would heed his admonishments, and we would take him for his word. Which leads me to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, and we're going to go on to verse 4. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. So as long as we know the scriptures, we know that we will not be taken unawares. If we always have our eyes upon him and watching, we will not be surprised. He tells us, for you are the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. Let us not sleep. For as long as we are on Yah's side, we will not fall asleep like the world is. The world believes that is Yah's people, Israel, over there. And they're all going crazy and everyone's crying and everyone's panicking because they feel the world is about to end. We are in end times, but we have a lot more to go. Yah's prophecies will not fail. And every event has to take place before we reach the end. Only those who are awake and know Yah realize this. For 7 says, for they sleep in the night. For we sleep in the night. Nighttime is for sleeping, not to be out causing havoc and murder and sin. And they that be drunken are drunk in the night. They're drunk in the night. Why? Because the night is when no one can see them. The night is when they feel as though their deeds will go unseen. So therefore they're drunk at night. This is when Satan uses people the best, at nighttime. Because the nighttime that you can't see, it's dark, and darkness is where he wants people to be. But Yah says, but let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, for an helmet, the hope of salvation. We're of the day, which means that we are people of light. People of light don't hang out at night. He's telling us to put on the breastplate of faith. The breastplate is covering your heart and love. And for a helmet, the hope of salvation. We put that helmet on because our minds is covered. We know in our minds that salvation is part of our life. So this is a helmet. So when the enemy shoots darts of fear, shoots darts of anxiety, and shoots darts of confusion, we have our helmet to block all of those attacks. Number 9, for Yah has not appointed us to wrath, but to attain salvation by Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach, who has died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live with them. We should live together with him. Wherefore, comfort yourself together and edify one another, even also as you do. Amen. Yah is telling you, do not look upon what's going on out there. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eyes on Yah. Keep on the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the shield of faith, the sword of the Spirit, and the gospel of peace. Once we are fully engulfed in his armor, we are not worrying about what the world is going through, because Yah will let us know what we need to do and when we need to do it. We know that he died for us, and he tells us that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. So that means whether we are taken alive or if we happen to pass before this time, he says regardless, we will be with him. So don't fear if we happen to go through these times and we witness and we are going through the great tribulation. There will be lots of turmoil. There'll be lots of torment. There'll be lots of evil and murder. And the whole world will come crashing down. But as long as we have on our armor and know that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. And this is why he says, comfort yourself with this and edify one another, even also as you do. And this is what I'm doing today, brothers and sisters. So this concludes the message of the times of the Gentiles. I thank you for joining me. I thank you for listening. And I pray that you'll continue to join me. Yah's willing. As long as he gives me the content and the material and the scriptures, we'll be meeting up. Yah bless you and your families. Shalom.